Got it started. Yay for YouTube videos. And those pop-up ads. So everyone, you're listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman at WSMN.live or 95.3 FM. If you enjoy our crazy content, please like, share, and subscribe to our Lois Herman Associates YouTube channel. Sign up for our newsletter at loisherman.com and join our Inspiring Hope community at chroniclesofhope.net. And I do want to just give you a reminder, join us on the summer solstice on June 21st at 9 a.m. I'm delighted to host Diane Hebenstreit, a medium at the Spiritualist Church, who has been given an important communication to share with humanity from the Higher Council of Light. It's free. You can register or log in at my loisherman.com/events on my calendar. So check it out. Jump in. I have no idea. She has no idea. She just reached out to me and said, I've been given an opportunity to share a download. How do I do that? So, let's set up a webinar. So join us, June 21st, 9 in the morning. So today I'm delighted, as I said, to welcome a fellow radio show host, Julie Rutkowski. And I can actually say your name because my maiden name was Klemaszewski. Oh. So I know how to say Polish. I can say Polish names anyway. So we're going to have her share some insights about her wicked healthy radio show, and her Feng Shui business. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lois, for the invite. Yes.
And how does it feel to be on
on the other side? I know it's lovely. Thank you very much. I have a whole different view of the outdoors. If you're sitting in the guest chair, yes, you get to see the beautiful main street of Nashua.
And if people don't realize, we're in a turret. We're in this beautiful old style turret, and it's just lovely. I mean, we've got street noise out here, and we just live with that. But it really is kind of a neat old building, isn't it?
It's beautiful. Yeah. It's a beautiful building. Yes, and we also share a lovely producer.
Yes,
Jazz.
we do.
Yes.
Jasmine.
I know. I'm like, when you're a kid and your favorite shows like do a crossover, that's how I feel.
There you go. Thank you, Jazz.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so this is going to be a three-way conversation.
Yes, so it always is.
Of course. Yes. So tell us a little bit about you, so my listeners know a little bit more about who you are.
Right. So I really my intro to my show starts out with that I was born a nurse.
Yeah.
Right, and I morphed into a feng shui consultant.
Yeah.
And reborn as a WSMN radio host
I love it.
of Wicked Healthy Radio. Yes, exactly.
I can relate.
Yes, so that's sort of my path. And, I know Jazz and I talk a lot, or we talk a lot on Wicked Healthy Radio about sort of we reinvent ourselves,
yes.
Every 9 years. So this is sort of my my now 9 years. So, my reinvention of who I am.
Why 9 years? Do you have
it's just one of those feng shui sort of everything, feng shui, everything has to do with the number 9, the most auspicious number. It's a very powerful number so that, you've worked all the way up from 1 to 9, and now you've gained all this information and all this input, and then you move it forward into another direction.
So then you start over again at 1.
You start over again at 1. You always have to start over again at 1. Exactly.
So 9 is completion.
Yeah, you don't go from 9 to 9 to 9, although that would be very nice.
And that's why I often say that I've had multiple lives in this lifetime because, like you, I have completely started over. I'm going to have to look back now and see if it's been every 9 years.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yep. I tend to, on my birthdays, review back at 10-year intervals.
Oh, nice.
Where was I 10 years ago and 10 years before that? And what have I learned? What do I choose to incorporate in this next cycle?
That's right.
What do I choose to let go of?
Yes.
Because that's a lot about feng shui.
It absolutely is. Letting go.
Of the clutter.
Of clutter, and you can define clutter.
Yes.
I mean, there's many ways to define, stuff that no longer serves you, or maybe people that no longer serve you, or places that no longer serve you.
Yes.
Or maybe it's all three. So,
a combo.
You need like a whole overhaul of your life.
Exactly.
And some of us do that. Let's just relocate across the country.
Start over.
You've
That's
done
right.
that a couple of times.
I have moved around quite a bit. Yes, quite a bit actually. Which the benefit to that is that we minimize clutter because when you're packing to move, you think, why did I move this? This was something we didn't really have to have. So.
Guilty.
Yes.
I've packed it and moved
Yes,
it.
I packed it, moved it, and then you're thinking, why did I do that?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we talk a lot about that in Feng Shui, about things that you know that you don't need, things that you absolutely know that you need and love, or love and need. I should say it more love and then need.
Right.
And then you, and then there's always that middle section, and I always, which we say in Feng Shui, if you put it in a clear plastic, whatever it is, not a person, but clear plastic container.
Some people you could do.
That's right. Or at least their energy, right? You
Right.
could put their energy in there.
Yes.
Put that in a clear plastic container, and we always put a red heart just to symbolize that there's love with these things that are just kind of settling, and leave it there. And if a year you don't ever either think about it or use it or whatever, then maybe it's okay to let it go.
Yeah.
So there's all these little sort of, I don't want to say tricks, but little
Yeah.
things to kind of help
Techniques.
move things, techniques to
Yeah.
right.
And
that
that's how
move things
because
along.
I have what I would call organized clutter in my home. I have a lot of gazantas. Goes onto the shelf, goes onto the wall, goes onto the, I have lots of gazantas. But the ones that I have, if I pick it up and I have a good memory, because I have moved a lot and I've traveled a lot. So many of these gazantas have good memories, and I want to hold on to them for now until I've decided to let it go or to bless someone else with it.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
But if I pick it up and it's like, yeah, that reminds me of that first husband, that she's like, what's out of here?
That's right. Yes, there are clients that have asked about, energy from, what do I do with those divorce papers? Yes. Where should I put them? I have to keep them. So
Not a clear box.
not a clear box. No. Yep. You can actually, a little feng shui tip here is that if you have two mirrors, and I love the dollar store because you can get, it doesn't matter what kind of mirror, but just get two mirrors and whatever. And things that seem to have energy, maybe weapons that are in the house, or or divorce papers. Maybe they're the same.
Yeah.
Then you if you put them between two mirrors, facing, it just it sort of negates that energy. Just sort of
Interesting.
So it puts that. So note to self.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how you take care of those divorce papers,
Yeah.
and keep them out of the bedroom, of course. That should be obvious to folks.
No,
Keep
people
those out
don't
there.
realize that
Yes.
the bedroom is sacred. The
Oh, yeah.
bedroom,
Very.
you shouldn't have any, like even pictures of children on the wall in the
That's
bedroom.
right.
You know?
Exactly. Feng Shui 101 right there. Get the
Exactly.
kids out of your bedroom.
I enjoy being a grasshopper on Julie's show because I've learned so much about things that I don't need hanging up. Even the hallway closet, I had a mirror on the hallway closet. It was facing the entrance to my door, and I've removed it from there ever since. And I'm
Yes.
telling you, the flow of energy is so different.
That's
now.
right.
It
Your
is
life
amazing.
taken off.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You're exact. I mean, sometimes it's just the little things. It's not
Yes.
the. Yeah. So bedroom, sleep, rest, and if you're an adult, sleep, rest, and intimacy.
play.
And plays, okay, sure. Yeah. But not exercise. So you don't need your exercise equipment in there.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, or pictures of your ex, or pictures of
No.
whatever.
Nope,
Or
but
stress. It should all be very relaxing.
Exactly. I have a favorite story of a girlfriend of mine who's, when I started doing Feng Shui, she was a fellow nurse, and she said, please come to my house. And they had just moved into this house, and they called it Mr. Fine's house because Mr. Fine lived there before they did. And they just never really owned the space. And
Right.
so anyway, one of the issues that they were having, particularly my girlfriend was having, was that she actually could not sleep in her room. Like she was exhausted. The house tired her, fatigued her. She was just so exhausted. And I tell the story all the time because it just puts lots of Feng Shui principles all together in one story. And I tell it all the time. And she will call me sometimes and say, "Did you just tell my story?" Because we're that energetically connected. And we were, so of course I had just started Feng Shui, and I go upstairs, and the first thing you notice is that her bed is it's a small room, much smaller than what they were in before they moved to Mr. Fine's house. And the room was small. So the bed was in the position that we call, what is called death position, which is,
geez.
so the feet were facing the door, and it was very close to the door. So so I said, well, first of all, your bed is in the worst position it could be.
Right.
And it was underneath a slanted ceiling.
Oh, right.
So slanted ceiling, we all have them, or many of us have them in older homes. They have slanted ceilings, but you don't want to sleep under them because that energy, that's pressing energy. So if you kind of take you think of a sort of the shape of a tornado, that tornado is pressing down, and that's exactly what's happening, at night. You're just feeling the pressure from that.
It's the same thing with beams across.
And the
You have
beams,
to be careful
exactly
of beams.
the
Is that
same
right? Yeah.
thing. Right. There were no beams in there. That was probably the only thing. And so I said, and she was sleeping on that side that just happened to have that that small little overhang, and we're walking around, and as a nurse, we always ask these open-ended questions, right?
Yep.
Tell me about. And so I said to her, well, tell me about what's going on over here, and she had some pictures on her windowsill. And her bureau, and the pictures of the granddaughter, and everything has energy, and everything has a voice.
Yes.
And her son-in-law, and the pictures of the dog. But wait, there's more, folks. We haven't even got to the good part yet.
I know.
So now I'm saying, well, what do you think your daughter is telling you or asking you? The daughter was married and had children. She said, well, I'm pretty sure she's asking me to babysit. And I'm thinking, she probably is asking you to babysit. And why is your son-in-law in your bedroom?
Mm-hmm.
And she's starting to like I can see that it's starting to kind of percolate in there. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, yeah. And the dog, pictures of the dog. And as we're sort of moving around the room, I said, first I explained, they don't belong in your room. The only things that belong in your bedroom are, she had a husband, so it would be things that highlight you and your husband. So when you walk into the space, or I walk in, I should see warm, loving space.
Right.
That, like you said, Lois, sacred space where you are just together. There's nothing else going on in that room, I always say like a cave where a bear is. They kind of like settle in there. And as we're moving around the room, there were and then the other thing I said, tell me about your bed. And she said, well, it's not really my bed. Well, whose bed is it? And she said it was her daughter's friend. And now we talk about predecessor chi, and predecessor chi is chi that is somebody else's. It's holding the energy.
Yes.
And even the mattress came with the bed.
Yeah.
I said, wow, this is like fascinating that, your energy isn't, this room is not yours. You are sharing this with a lot of people. And so we're still going around, and the TV was in there, and that's another whole topic. And then I see over here on the other bureau, I say, well, tell me what's going on here. And she said, oh, that's the dog and her dad. So the urn for her father and the urn for the dog were in their master suite, or their master bedroom. So I said, well, what is the dog doing? She goes, well, he's probably barking to go out, because that's what he did a lot. And I said, and what's your dad telling you? Oh, he says the same thing all the time to me. I never should have been a nurse. I should have been a doctor. And she said,
so they're all nagging her.
They're nagging her. I said, no
Keeping her
wonder.
up, yeah.
No wonder you're not. But wait. There's more. I'm not even at the good part yet. And I have to explain to you, this room was not that big.
Yeah.
So, and the color of the room was bright yellow. And her husband's a painter.
Oh.
And I said, do you think Jim will kind of settle this room down? Who can sleep in the daylight? It was bright yellow. So she's like, I'm pretty sure he's not going to repaint. I said, all right. And then all of a sudden it clicked. And she went running. She dove under her bed. She pulled out this tattered old cardboard box. And she said, oh, this is my first wedding album from my first marriage. And all the certificates from her husband's family, the first communion and all of those certificates were there, including all the the photo album of her first marriage.
Yes.
Why do you have these? And all of us, like now that, like the consultation's over. Like I can see she's on the phone, she's calling her husband, get over here now. We have some work to do, and she's really trying. So let's fast forward to, gave her some feng shui, things that she can do, and including, of course, removing all those highly energetic items that didn't support her or her husband. And I came back. It was a few months later. It takes a while to do feng shui. A little feng shui goes a long way, but it does take a while to go through. And all of a sudden, I go upstairs into the space, and immediately they had moved the bed and, created this solid wall. There was a window, but they were able to use this heavy drapery to kind of create the illusion of solid wall. They got a new bed. They got a new, some really beautiful bedding for it. And I said, oh my goodness. I said, Jim painted in here. How did you get him to repaint? She goes, I didn't. The room just calmed itself right down. All of it, it looked completely different. Wow. It was fascinating. Wow. Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories that I tell because again, it puts lots of feng shui principles.
Yes.
In just, in a few minute story, because there's just to appreciate, understand what you're living with is affecting you.
Absolutely. And I have a similar story, not about sleep, but I had a good friend. She has since passed, and she used to love me to tell her story anyway. But her name was Nancy, and we called her the Rainbow Lady. She always wore rainbow colored scarves and sweaters, and she was just a colorful personality. But she'd been through a 26-year marriage with a divorce. The man had been cheating on her, etc., and she hated her house. I need to leave. I have to leave. She loved her house, but there was this love-hate relationship with the house. I said, Nancy, let me come over and just take a look and see what's going on. So I go into her house. Now, Nancy was raised on Nantucket, so everything was water.
Oh.
So her whole house, the living room, the dining room, everything was blue. Mm-hmm. And she, too, was sleeping on the old mattress. Mm-hmm. And I said, Nancy, where are your rainbows? And she said, oh, and she was a very organized kind of person. So she opens this armoire that has quilts and comforters and coverlets and all this beautiful, beautiful rainbow colored things. I said, Nancy, let's just pull them out. And what about for your walls? Again, everything was Nantucket water, blue. Yeah. And blue in feng shui is emotion. And
that's right. And tears.
Tears and sad. And you need to have a balance. You've got to have the balance. Yep. But when you've got too much of one element, you end up overflowing.
Yes.
So we found in her basement, behind the washer and dryer, was this huge double rainbow silk screen. I said, what's it doing down here? She said, well, I really never found any place to put it. Now, she had cathedral ceilings, and right up in the middle of her cathedral ceiling, we hung that.
Oh, wow.
That was, so that she could look up at this beautiful double rainbow silk screen. And then we just took her coverlets and put them different places. Now, I did rearrange the room based on the bagua.
Yeah.
And afterwards, she's like, oh my goodness, it changed her life. She ended up finding the love of her life and was so happy. But I tell you what, that was one of the most profound experiences, walking into her house and just feeling the blue, feeling the sadness.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now let's bring up the rainbows. Yeah. And she had them. She had everything.
That's funny.
She just needed to rearrange
Get
a
them
little
out of
bit.
the closet. Huh?
Yeah, get it out of the closet.
That's right.
Bring out your joy. Yeah, and get rid of that mattress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's key.
Yes, that is key.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, own your space. Right?
Yeah, don't hold a mattress that's got old nasty memories. Yeah, no, that's a biggie. Yeah. I also hear in the bedroom that you should have a little burst of red of some sort.
Always passion.
Passion a little burst of red.
Yes, and you don't have to see it. That's the thing about feng shui, that you don't have to actually see these things. You can. So I do many library presentations, and they always ask for the clutter. 2 hours of decluttering, which is very fun to do. But this was one that actually there was a little, I can't remember. I think it was like more of a series one. And this gentleman said to me that, and it's interesting because feng shui is not all about, it doesn't draw a particular person or type of person. my clients have ranged in age, in culture, in the diversity level is because people, if you get energy,
Right.
you get it, and if you know it can help, not reward, if it can help you achieve your goal, whatever that is, or balance your whatever. So anyway, so this gentleman, he was an Asian gentleman. He said to me, he said, my love life is, now this isn't a group, and I'm thinking, okay, my love life is, and I'm like, is what? Anyway, so we talked about some of the things, and we talked about the color red. And I said, just take something red that is, like a scarf. It can be anything, literally anything, but you give it a job. You literally have to tell it what you want it to do. You give it permission to work for you.
Right.
And you put this underneath the mattress, and then whatever happens, congratulations.
and you're right. There's the illusion of it. The different types of people. I remember an engineer asking me to come into his very organized engineering business. He said, "We're not producing the way we used to. Can you please just come in and take a look?" And of course, there was a lot of clutter. But when you walked in, I used the Compass School for the Feng Shui, and we walked right into the career, and it was trees. So there was, where's your water? And he loved fish and fish tanks, but they did not have the ability to put a fish tank there. But he's an engineer, and they had a big screen TV. So what did he do? He found an app.
There you go.
With the fish tank on the big screen TV, and had this beautiful fish tank going. And so when I came back, usually when I would do Feng Shui, I would go in first with a consultation. Here are a few things, and then I would go back afterwards just for the fine tuning. And he was so excited. Look what we did, and we did this, and we did that, and it really changed his business. It grew to where they had to move out of the space.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And if you go to on that same line, you can go to any Asian restaurant, or and they always have water. Well, why do they have water? Because water brings an opportunity.
That's right.
So they have an altar. And then they'll have a water element. Right. So that's what because of course, Feng Shui started 4,000 years ago in China, where it only practiced for royalty by Feng Shui masters. So that we're taking those and now moving them from east to west. But, we don't have pagodas and palaces and, royalty. Well, your home.
Exactly.
You are the queen, the king and queen of your own home. So, and then for a business, same thing, what is your water element? What is helping opportunity flow into your business?
Right.
So,
and it could be something like a fish
anything
positioned coming into your home.
It can be a chandelier. It can be, depending on, it depends on, you have to set it. We always say this in Feng Shui. You have to use your mind, body, and your mantra. You have to envision what it is you're doing.
Setting
so I
an
am
intention.
Doing this because, and you literally say it, I am painting my door red, as if it's already happening. I'm painting my door red, providing protection for me, for my family, for all the years that I spent in this home.
Right.
So you're literally, so everything that you do, you're doing with full intention, and your mind is already moving to that next place, to that what's already happening.
Yeah.
So if you're envisioning growing out of your space, your business, then that's what you're
exactly.
You're doing.
I a couple of years ago, I was given an opportunity to move into a larger office, and I was debating it was going to be more expensive, and I don't know, should I do this? And it's actually interesting, in this one of these channeled sessions that's coming up in the Archangel's book, I'm asking Archangel Michael, because he channeled through suddenly, and I said, should I? And I just have conversations with them. I mean, they're my buds. So I know people think that's weird, but they are. So anyway, I'm asking
Jazz is shaking her head.
No weirdness.
No, it's uniqueness. I was told, stop using the word weird. It's unique.
Yes.
So I'm having this conversation with Archangel Michael. Should I really move into the space? And his very serious answer was, your intention to move sets the expectation for expanding your business. So I thought, It's exactly what you're saying.
Yep.
It is the intention. And then what happened is moved over there, expanded the business, and then COVID came and I shut the whole thing down, but I moved globally.
Yes.
And that's the difference.
That's right. Exactly.
But, yeah. So people would come into my office because I was thinking about this for 20-something years. I've been using the principles of Feng Shui. And people always come into my office and go, oh, it just feels so good in here.
It does. It's different. A whole different feeling.
So tell them what you had said to me about when you walk into your home, it should...
I always, this is my favorite words. I always say, your home should give you that energetic hug.
I love that.
You should never feel when you walk into your home, oh, I need to fill in the blank, clean. I need to declutter. So, I just, maybe you were at somebody else's house and they're maybe more organized, and maybe so you should walk in. And I said this to you when we were talking before about how you can spend all day, having a girl's day, and you've had a massage, your nails done, and you've had your hair cut, whatever it is, a Reiki treatment, maybe you've had hypnosis, whatever, to feel good. And you walk into your house and you just think, everything all your energy just deflates. Yep. It just, you are washed. So something's wrong. And you start with your home. You start at your front door if you're not using your front door. And that's always the hardest thing for people to appreciate and understand. Use your front door, because that's where the energy comes in. From the street to back in the day, it was a river. If you had a prosperous community, farming needed to feed the people.
Right.
So everything, all legitimate, or all the businesses, I'm talking for like thousands of years ago, were on the water, because that's what you needed to prosper. So we're not all sitting on the water. We have roads, though.
The roads represent the water.
That's right. The roads represent the rivers and the flow of water. So you're bringing that, and you're capturing that energy and bringing it to your home using the front door, because that's where the mouth of chi.
And see, a lot of people don't use their front door.
No, they don't.
They pull in their garage, they get out of the garage, and they never use the front door.
That's right.
And that's one of the things that I encourage people at least once a week or more often.
Once a day, I
Once
say.
a day,
let the dog out. Just open it
the
and
door.
say, "Come on in,
Yeah,
good chi."
absolutely.
Nourish me, nourish my family.
Even in the snow, I'll open that front door and stand out there and watch the snow and just welcome
shovel
it in.
to the front door. I
Yes.
got this very funny picture one time from one of the students that I had. And I do teach at Riviere.
Yeah.
I do a 5-week course at Riviere through the RISE program, which is the
nice.
Riviere Institute for Senior Education. They haven't quite gone on. They will, actually, I take that back. They do Zoom, but also through Circles of Wisdom. And I do it monthly with them. And it's at 8 weeks. It's a lot of fun. And now I completely forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about when you walk in your house and it feels yucky, and you were saying start with the front door. You know what? The first thing that came to my mind back when I had times when I would walk into my house and just feel awful, I had to start with that husband.
Well, that's right.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Sometimes that happens,
It
though,
does.
Lois, because I
Yeah.
removed the mirror in front of my hallway, and I feel like so many people have been removed from my life as a result, and I'm like, holy moly. And just a good clearing. I'm convinced that I never really thought Feng Shui would have so much effect on someone's life, but it really does. And even the front door thing, I've made it a point to come through my front door. And now I'm like, all right, how do I make my front door more pleasing to for me to go through? So I've put little plants nearby, and so things like that. I'm like, okay, it feels good when I walk in.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I just remember shovel to your front door.
Yes.
Because that is, so somebody sent me when we had one of those big storms and there was 7 feet of snow and she asked her dad, because she was living with her dad, and the dad shoveled this little tiny path to the front door because she knew she needed to have a path to her front door. I thought, well, she clearly understands Feng Shui. That's right, Jazz. That's exactly, it doesn't take a lot of Feng Shui.
Exactly.
Sometimes but so people say, oh, and you've probably heard this too, Lois, I had a Feng Shui consultant 10 years ago come, and I'm thinking, okay, but that's dusting your house. If you've got to keep dusting in order to keep it. So once you've had your wishes and your desires manifested, then you now need the next level. Okay, maybe you feng shui because you were looking for a partner. Now you maybe want to go to the next level with that partner. So you keep moving your feng shui forward, as well as your intention, with your intentions and your desires.
And it's interesting how we don't know when we share these little stories and tidbits how it affects people. So probably it would have had to have been a good 15 years ago. I was working at this organization and I was just sharing with one of she was the director of human resources, I was director of clinical, but I was really into feng shui. So I'm telling her about this, and she was going through a divorce. And so I was telling her about activating her relationship corner and putting, 2 of doves or 2 something in her relationship corner. Anyway, I haven't seen her in 10 years or longer. She shows back up in my life and says, I still remember what you taught me, and I am now married to the love of my life because I changed my relationship corner. She's changed her whole life based on simple things that I was just sharing that she took to heart. So to your point of, you never know who's listening or who is taking some of these little seeds and planting them in their soil. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's never. I always say, it's never. How do I say this? So, like, I'm never shocked. I'm surprised sometimes, but I'm never shocked. If that's like when I get feedback from people that say, "Oh my goodness, this is what I did," and you don't always, when you do consultations, you don't always hear the feedback. People get they get busy, and they they don't think, and I always say, send pictures. I think pictures are huge.
Yes.
So you have pictures of this, the before and then the after, which is really a lot of fun. So,
and that was one of those I didn't expect feedback, and I was delighted to hear.
Yes.
So again, when you are helping someone just from the heart, you just never know what kind of seeds you're planting.
Well, as a feng shui, to your point, as a feng shui consultant, when you go through the programs, and they're definitely, you can do them online. The one I went to was actually in Connecticut, and then you got went to a master's program in New York. Again, then all things COVID, right?
Yeah.
So that you learn about energy, of course, and about keeping yourself. And so we learn that once you do the consultation, and then there's the money exchange. We use red envelopes, to do exchange of money. That you let it go, because I can't carry all the clients I've had over the years. I can't carry that energy. It's just, so I need to keep myself completely clear, and so that my energy is pure when I go into a consultation.
Exactly.
So, I'm not carrying my own or anybody else's baggage. I've got enough of my own.
And see, that for me, that also leads to doing true energy clearings of houses. I recently worked with a woman who discovered after she purchased the house that there had been several deaths in the house.
Oh, yes.
And so, I mean, there needs to be some spiritual clearing too, spiritual energy clearing and then we need to bring in the layer of feng shui. So there's so many different layers to this.
There really is. Yeah. You're right. Absolutely. And I think each feng shui consultant has a little different so they sparkle in something different. So, what I enjoy, clients that I enjoy working, are attracted to me. But if somebody comes to me and wants a space clearing because, they think that there's, a harmful ghost or something, that, like, as a nurse, I can't. Yeah, send them to Lois. There you go.
There you go.
So, so people, I run the group for Feng Shui consultants here in New England through the International Guild, Feng Shui Guild, and there's probably a dozen of us just in the general New England area, which is a lot of, for New England.
That's great.
Pretty, or I should say more New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and some Rhode Island, but definitely,
And see, I do it more as a hobby. I learned it from, reading books and studying and applying. That's
right.
And it works, but I don't have the same depth and breadth of knowledge that you do. And yet the amount of knowledge that I know works for me.
That's right. It's a huge, I mean, once you start seeing the results, whether it's, and for me, it started, as a nurse, we were at there's 4 nurses that worked in this little tiny office, and anyway, we had a class on Feng Shui. I'll shorten the story, and we started to use the principles we learned in this little workshop, the 4 of us, and redesigning our nurse's office. And I always say that when you're a school nurse, the goal is to get the kids back to class, and there'll be no lingering in the nurse's office. And so we reworked our office so that we actually had like little stations. So you boo-boos here, first aid and medication. And what we did was we actually, we had, of course, a bed for kids that needed to lay down for a little while, but we actually put it like behind a screen so that it wasn't something that the kids thought, I can go to the nurse and take a nap, because that was not the goal.
Right.
And we had 2 doors, so we created an in and an out, so that in and an out. You come in, you leave, you go back to class.
Yes.
So anyways, and so that's, you start to just that little bit there, and we were reading books that we all purchased. So it was amazing.
Oh, that reminds me, when I went to Pompeii years and years ago, the apothecary was across the street from the brothel.
Oh my goodness.
And it was on the only curved road.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So when people would go down the road, you didn't know whether you were going to the apothecary or the brothel, and then you would go out the other road. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Segue.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, which goes to, if you're purchasing a business, you want to be where you have the most visibility.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Or at least the ability to pull people into, into your establishment, into your store. So anyway.
Fun things.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a puzzle, and
it is.
I've always loved to decorate, and like even arranging my husband's office. We've both have moved offices, and but being able. Like he knows, okay, where's my fire corner? That's the only thing he knows. Yeah. And being able to use the bagua, that's the beautiful part, is having that map.
Right.
And I loved your map. If you go to her website, so let's say you tell her your
so
website.
My website is actually Feng Shui Services of New England, and I do have a bagua map there, and which you can purchase through Etsy. Etsy actually is where it's sold through, and I created it just from the information that we received in our classes.
Right.
And it was, to me, something that I could take with me and use to explain, to clients, here's what your house. So what we do is we start always with your floor plan, and we look at the first floor of your floor plan, and we look to see where might be some energetic blocks, because you want to be able to enter your front door and move very easily throughout the house.
Flow, yes.
You flow, yeah. So there are 9 life areas. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody has a perfectly square or rectangular house with 9 rooms, in those exact spots. Although that would be a consultant's dream, for sure. If you had that, it would make our life much easier. But it doesn't work that way. So there's obviously some overlap there. And we look to see how easily does that energy flow. Is there stuff? Where are the basement stairs? Where are the stairs to the second floor? Where's the bathroom? Because that's all energy. You want to keep your energy up in your home. You don't want it sinking into the basement, because that's your family energy, right? Sinking into the basement. And you also don't want it being flushed, my air quotes here, your energy flushed down the toilet. So you want to keep, so there are certain techniques that we use, which are very common. You can get in it. People always say to me, what book do you use? And when I do classes, I always refer to, the Bible of Feng Shui for Dummies by David Kennedy, because it's chewy. I mean, there's a lot in there, and he gets into because there are different layers, and you know this, right? There are different layers of Feng Shui. I can only talk about what's in a book, and because that's public, open, that's information that's shared. Now, there's a whole other level of Feng Shui that I get when I went through the master's program, that I only was given to me from through word of mouth, passed down through thousands and thousands of years.
Wow.
And we call those transcendental. So those are transcendental cures. So that, and the cures in like in David Kennedy's book, Feng Shui for Dummies, is more, we call them mundane. I can explain those to you. I can explain to you, yes, if you move this couch, you're going to see the flow of energy, just affect your family or fill in the blank, whatever that is. But I can explain it to you. But when it's transcendental, then you're at a whole different level, and you have to be a believer, and a believer in your soul. And you have to know that if I tell you, and there's a whole other different respect level and payment level for sharing this type of this level of information, which is never done unless there's obviously a serious reason, or there is that there's maybe a dangerous situation, so that it all depends. But you save those cures for when somebody is really in need of them. Take a screw from your kitchen and put it in a whatever and send it down a river. So it's that level. I mean, but you have to believe that what is happening is going to change the direction of the energy for you. Wow. Legal is another one. So a client was having some legal issues, and so I went to the transcendental cures to say, hey, if you try this, and this, and it involved things that you have to go online to get, sometimes they use cinnabar and do lots of different things, and rice is usually involved somehow, and that you and so she did this, and then slowly this situation, this very complicated legal situation, started to turn around, and it was only when this particular transcendental cure was initiated. And she believed that this was going to work on
and
that.
It's the power of belief.
Very powerful.
Huge.
So there are different, like I said, levels of Feng Shui that you appreciate.
And on the Bagua that you have on your website, I was looking at it, and it has like the younger sister, the older brother, and that was a whole nother level that I was not familiar with. I'm familiar with the elements and where to put the different elements in the different the different directions, and then what the sharchi, what elements you don't use.
Yeah.
But where do these?
Right. So that's a great question. So when you look at the Bagua, the 9 life areas, so each one of those relates to a certain member of the family, because it's this mythical Chinese family from, way back in the day. There was, in typical Chinese culture, that there was 6 children, older boy, older girl, middle, and then younger boy, younger girl. And then the mother and the father. So each, except for the center, is health. So each around the Bagua, the
8
octagon,
around,
the 8 around, right, is a member of a family. And so, and it works with the elements, and so they all sort of work kind of together. But what it means is that if there's a energetic concern with a member of the family, you go to that particular, what we say, gua, as in Bagua, there were 8 guas. You go to that particular area, and you start to work specifically in that area. And so it gives people, and I always use the term to work, say, on that level. I talk about the using altar, small a, folks, an altar. I have to be careful, because a couple times I said altar when I was at Riviera, and folks were like, what? There's only one altar. No, this is like small a.
Yeah. Well, the families, because I have been to China, and in their homes, they will have an altar, a designated area for family. They're very respectful
of their ancestors. That's right.
So the altar is honoring the ancestors.
That's right. So that's what this is. So you honor that, and whatever the wish, or if it might be health. So maybe it might be whatever. Fill in the blank. Travel. It could be whatever. But you work in that particular area by creating safe energy for that person.
Interesting.
So, okay. Yeah. So and there's lots of different ways to kind of work with that. But so that's that is.
So, for instance, my son is looking for a house.
Yep.
So I would find what is the youngest son's position and do something to activate a picture of a house or something like that for him.
If you know, that's a great question. So if you know specifically what kind of house he's looking for, where he's looking for, I mean, you can do a couple of things. You can use crystals to kind of like focus energy just for him, or just write it down and create this. You know, my very specific. My son will find the house of his dreams for his family in the area that is going to be the most, where he is going to be the most productive and his family is going to be the most safe, and that they will thrive.
Perfect.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all. Don't. And then do whatever ceremony you do
and
to
then let it
center
go.
it, and then let it go.
Yeah.
That's right.
Trust the universe.
And trust the universe.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My husband. It's nice to have a husband that will. The big grasshopper, we call him. He might be listening.
Really tall.
He's really tall.
I'm sure my husband is listening.
Yes,
because
and
I throw him under the bus
all the
regularly.
time. Exactly. So he wants to. Very nice of him to upgrade my vehicle.
Okay.
And he said, well, what do you think we should do? I said, you've been at this. You've been living with me for how long? Let's feng shui. So I said, let's, all the things that we want. And I said, let's print it off. And so later on, I said, well, where is that, the print out? He goes, it's on your altar. I said, of course it is. So, yeah. And so, we'll see. I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Sometimes, and I really want to be clear with folks, sometimes it may not be as clear. You have to listen to the message and the messenger. And you have to be aware that sometimes that man of your dreams that you've been, feng shuiing for might come to you in a different way or in a different, I don't say form because that's not the right what I mean, but so you have to be clear with your idea and your thought, but you also have to be open to how it comes to you.
Absolutely.
Does
and
that
grateful.
make sense,
It
Lois?
makes absolute sense. Be careful what you wish for. Yes.
Oh my God, I could go on forever on that one. Careful what you wish for,
that's
right?
a big one, yeah. So be clear on your wishes.
Very clear.
Clear.
Yes.
Without, he's got to be this tall with the da-da-da.
Yes,
because,
but you forgot to ask for health.
Or you forgot to ask for kindness.
Or thank you.
You've got to ask for what fills your heart. And it's not about the physical structure of the person. It's about the complementary partnership.
That's right.
In a relationship.
I want a life partner that we are going to see eye to eye, or at least come to seeing eye, whatever that is for you.
Life together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I like to pick on. We've got one more minute. Okay, I was going to tell another Nancy story, but I do. So Nancy was another one. And she wanted this life partner, but he had to be tall and dark hair and big hands. And this guy that she finds short, balding, small hands, and he's minus an eye.
Yep.
And he became the love of her life. It was not at all what she had envisioned in her mind, but he was the heart connection.
I love that
was
story.
perfect for her.
Yes.
So it's not about the physical, guys. It's about the heart connection.
Absolutely.
Well, this was fun.
Isn't
We're
it
going to
fun?
have to do more of this.
We will.
There's so much more to
Absolutely.
cover.
We could
absolutely
spend
So how do we
forever.
find you?
Well, you can find me two ways. Wicked Healthy Radio on Monday at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And then Feng Shui Services of New England is my website, and I have as much as I do my own website, so as much on there as you need to have in order to get to me.
Yeah.
And
I'll post that on the
that'd be great.
That'd
be wonderful.
YouTube channel.
Very easy.
So
thank you, Lois.
Oh,
Bless
this
you.
was
Namaste
wonderful.
to you.
Namaste. Until next
And
time,
Jazz.
everyone.
Yes.
Look up, stay positive, and be the light in someone's day.